Welcome everybody to the big show. Today we're going to talk about how to get your parts and service department in shape. We have a great analogy from Christian's life of adventures that we're going to show you some parallels and kind of go through the recipe, which I think will be very insightful. There's a lot of disappointing things in the news.
It's great.
And we're going to talk about why we're talking like this. That and much more coming up on this edition of Service Drive Revolution. Well, how you doing, Christian?
You did say that we were going to talk.
We need to talk like this for at least a week. My truck's bigger than your truck.
I got a bigger bucking bass.
You got one of those little city boy fancy cars.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely I'm going against my roots. I should definitely have it for
you. Lost your roots.
Yeah,
and your accent. Tell everybody why we're speaking in a country accent for a whole week.
The Morgan Wallen Hardy Ernest concert.
Well,
it's the other way around. Ernest Hardy Morgan Wallen.
And how was it?
Okay, so one, I love the music. Two, for all those shows that Morgan canceled because of his voice, I totally get it now.
What do you mean?
He was struggling.
Morgan?
Yeah. You didn't think that?
No.
Oh, gosh.
I thought Hardy was struggling. I thought Hardy has partied. He's having a hard time with his success.
Oh, maybe. I think
Morgan seemed kind of buttoned up.
Okay. I thought Morgan.
I think maybe what you're experiencing is him. He's not lip syncing. He's actually singing.
Yeah, he was definitely singing. There was no doubt about that. But I think they put on a great show. It's fun to watch the audience respond to it. There was see all those little kids by us? Thought that was interesting.
I think they're part of the family or something. A lot of those people in that section we were in were family or backstage.
See Matt Leinart there?
I did see Matt Leinart.
Yeah. There's a couple other people that I knew that I should have known who they were.
Does our audience know who Matt Leinart is?
Yeah, they're football guys.
Really? You know what's really interesting is how many country folk come out in Los Angeles.
The place was packed.
Cowboy hats.
Yeah. There's nothing that says country like downtown LA.
So what was your favorite part of the concert?
So my favorite part of the show, I enjoyed the pyrotechnics and the end, Whiskey Glasses, that song.
Can you sing a little bit of it for the audience, please? They might not be familiar.
I'm gonna need some whiskey glasses if I'm gonna see the truth. I don't remember. Probably making out on the couch right now with someone new.
You sing like an angel.
Yeah, you've told me before, the voice of an angel.
The voice of an angel.
You know what else I do? I tell jokes like an angel.
Yeah.
So you know that Elon changed Twitter's name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they...
he's had that name for a while.
Yeah, so he's ready to move it over.
He wants to be the internet of everything or something like that.
That's right. So it's X now. But they stopped calling them tweets. They're now called excretions. That one's hot off the presses, folks.
That's right on the line. That's on the line of the bleep button.
Really?
Kind of.
Yeah, it depends on how much you read into that, right?
That's fine.
That's good. What did you think of the concert?
I don't know, so many things. I didn't like how hard it was to get to the seats. Like, well, we didn't have seats. We were in the pit.
Right in front of the stage.
Right up front.
How many ramps did we walk down and up?
So whenever I've seen a football game there, I've never experienced that.
We took elevators.
The line for drinks Well, how long did we wait in line? Like a half an hour?
At least, yeah. We tried 3 different lines.
For those seats being VIP, they should have had their own bar. And then the bathroom line, you had your own. Well, I guess we did have our own bar there on the side. We just didn't know.
Right. We got it on the first in. It was one of the very few times, I think, as a guy that I've had to wait in line to go to the bathroom.
But I think like a country music concert like that, I want to have a couple drinks. And I did not. I had one drink.
Yeah.
And then that just, I don't know. It's not enough for what it was.
Yeah.
And then getting out of there was but I would say that when it comes to songwriting and marketing in a system, I don't know that those guys don't. It's very similar to Geffen, David Geffen in, what is that, the 70s, when he had the Eagles and James Brown and like Crosby, Stills and Nash, all that, where he was doing the publishing, the records,
controlling
the whole
everything.
thing. The songwriting is incredible.
Yeah, to me, it reminds me of Motown.
And Far and Away, he didn't play all the songs that I like, but Far and Away, my favorite song was the 98 Braves.
98 Braves is a really good song. I thought he did a good job with Last Night.
98 Braves. Like,
Yeah.
who else can weave sports, nostalgic, all of us, because we all kind of had the Braves then because they were all on the Turner Network or whatever it was.
Yeah, so everybody saw it on TNT.
So even if you were a
TBS
Braves
or whatever
fan, you saw it. And so we all know that. And then to be able to write a song that correlates that to a relationship, and we didn't always hit home runs, but blah, blah, blah. And I think that that's very clever. I like it when things are clever but original.
Right.
It's not clever just to be clever. So, yeah.
I think that I think all 3 of them have clever lyrics.
That's the second time we've
Yeah, we're 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
And I don't know that I wouldn't fly somewhere to see him.
I'd be curious what that concert's like in Nashville.
It's a good time.
Yeah. It's good. We had fun.
Hardy's having a hard time. He didn't have a bass player.
Super weird.
And he had a new drummer, which that drummer is kind of a YouTube guy.
And we saw him in the
YouTube
hall.
channel. Yeah, he asked me where I got my wristband.
Yep.
And I said, hey, you're the guy from YouTube. And then he kind of looked at me like, don't say that, kind of. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird.
The drummer. I heard you say the drummer.
Yeah. But I do watch drummers on YouTube.
Yeah, way more than I do.
Okay. Well, that's it. Well, for a week, we got to talk like this.
Oh my gosh, you lost me this morning.
Okay, what's in the news?
First thing in the news is that Tesla has started to offer 84-month car loans, whereas their previous cap was 72. And if you're a fine member of the Canadian population, you can go 96 months on that bad boy. You can take an 8-year loan on a Tesla.
Yeah, people are going to get creative.
Yeah. So essentially it's the...
They're just first. They won't be last.
No.
Everybody will start matching this.
Yeah, it's a response to the rising interest rates, and that they realize that with the extended length of loan that people are pretty much payment buyers at the end of the day in a lot of cases. So they're picking up some extra people they might price out, but it just talks a little bit about if you want a Canadian Tesla loan, 96 month, you got to do $7,500 down payment, and your interest rate is 6.83, which I feel like that's not that bad for an 8-year loan on a car. That's pretty good stuff. And then also in the news, a little bit of a kind of a be aware for the industry is that we've got the big 3 getting together with United Auto Workers, starting to work on negotiation for the new contract, which is contentious every couple of years. So that affects essentially what this article's talking like you're really giving car information to a 4-year-old, just saying who are the big three, Ford, GM, and Stellantis, which is code for Chrysler products, which includes Maserati, by the way. And essentially that there's a lot of things that kind of have to match up so they don't go on strike, but even if they do, many manufacturers are not going to be affected, and even on the big three, it'll take a little while before, just based on this information. But yeah, Toyota, BMW, Tesla unaffected, but it could be hard to find fair trucks like a Ram 1500. But yeah,
what do you mean?
It's coming. So they're saying that
it's going to affect supply.
Yeah, because they don't have a ton of supply of 1500s, and if they go on strike, there won't be anything to ship out. Whereas some of the other models, they have a little bit of a surplus on.
We were kind of thinking about there's a lot of parallels between the transformation you've recently gone through in getting in shape and fixing parts and service departments. Like the recipe for improvement, the recipe for wanting a better outcome and then getting that outcome are very similar in a sense. And even though we fix service departments and parts departments, oftentimes we don't realize that those same things apply in our own stuff, right?
Yep, exactly.
We don't always drink our own medicine. And I think it's interesting, and I think our listeners will think it's interesting, that the recipe is pretty similar to what you did or what we would do if we went into a dealership to fix it, right?
Yep.
And so the first thing I think off of the top is you wanted a different outcome. So you felt unhealthy, you were heavy, and you wanted to get in shape. So what specifically was the outcome that you wanted?
Yeah, so I had in my head, I wanted to lose 45 pounds. That's the number.
45. So that's pretty aggressive. So we would say like a dealership would come to us and they'd say, we want to have the best customer satisfaction numbers, and we want to be 40% net to gross. We want our processes to be smooth, and we want it to look easy.
Yeah, so I would say that that's the thing that probably and
that's lofty, right? 45 is lofty. Like there's a lot of dealerships that come to us and they're like, hey, we just want to break even, or we just want to not have so many unhappy customers, or whatever it is. But you're with 45 pounds, I think you're aligning yourself with kind of a pretty ambitious goal.
Yeah, and I think that where I've felt the healthiest in my life, and what I recognized was that, you know, just being healthy in itself, you can't just eat nothing and lose a bunch of weight, right? You have to have a system to it. And then the other thing that you recognize is that if you just do one part of it, it's not near as effective as you fix the whole. That's where I think that...
Well, I think before the system, you got a coach.
Yes.
Okay, so you had the want, and then the first thing you did is you went and found somebody who had a proven track record of helping people do this that you bought into, because I've heard you kind of explain it. For some reason, whatever it is, you had a lot of belief in this person to do what it was. So same thing, somebody reaches out to us and says, hey, we want to do better. Mm-hmm. So they find a coach, and that comes before the system, right? Because I think oftentimes what happens, and now it's going to happen to you, and it probably already has, is people look at your transformation and they just assume that you did it on your own, or you had super hyper discipline that nobody else has, or that you got lucky, or that there was a change in your... But the truth is you intentionally went and found somebody who has a recipe, who has a system, and then you applied that recipe, and that person, just like we kind of understand when somebody comes to us, there are variables, and it's not, it's not a straight line, right? Everybody's a little bit different. So you find this person, this coach, right? So how did you find him?
Just through a different kind of like, I would say like a mastermind type group that I was with. He was a guest speaker at one of the things that I was a part of.
And you just instantly believed in his credibility.
From the second that he said something, it was, that makes a whole lot of sense, and that I'd been doing it the hard, because it's not, I've lost weight in the past, but clearly
Did you pay them?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's another part of this. Interestingly enough, the people that get the best results are the people that pay the most.
Yeah.
Because you're just more committed, right?
Yeah. Free advice is just free advice.
Yeah, you have nothing vested. So you personally paid, so you found the coach and you paid for them.
That's right.
Which is going to make you take it a little more seriously, right? And so then once you pay them, you are given a system, and is there like coaching calls, or how does it work?
Yeah, so it's all virtual, but the thing that really reminds me of the stuff that we do with our clients is that there's a daily accountability report that I have to submit.
And you do it every day?
Every day.
Oh.
Weekends, everything. I'm weighing myself on the weekends. I'm reporting my food, everything like that.
Okay, so we obviously this guy has a proprietary system, and we're not. This isn't about giving away his stuff or whatever. But the thing that surprised me from the outside looking in is something that he did he told you a story or gave you a system or a belief or something, but your beliefs changed, which then changed your behavior because you were doing fasting and stuff that would on the outside appear to be hard, and you were saying it was easy. Like, no, it's no big deal.
Just a commitment. Yeah.
You started telling yourself a different story.
That's right.
So a lot of times with what we do, somebody comes into our coaching group, they come to boot camp, and when they learn the system, they start telling themselves a different story because they see it different.
Yeah.
So you started seeing your health and I don't know, lifestyle different?
Yeah, that I was doing it the hard way before.
Huh. Yeah, see, it's even the way you describe that is like, that's a huge change in belief, because I think if I went back in a time machine, which I'm working on, I'll let you know. There's a waiting list for the DeLorean, so I might have to use a Prius. But if I went back in my time machine that I'm working on, and I was like, "Hey, Christian, you would say that you were doing it the easy way then, and now you think you were doing it the hard way." So
for sure,
that change in perspective is what's dramatic, right? Like that happens whenever we do a boot camp. Just for the audience, the way that the boot camps work, most of the time, sometimes I'm not here, but most of the time, we go to dinner. And so you're doing the boot camp here in the library, and then we go to dinner, and I'll be like, "Hey, what did you learn today? How do you feel?" Or whatever. And they all kind of get quiet, and they're like, "I don't know why anybody didn't teach me this before. Like I've been doing it like it makes so much sense. Like it all just got easier." Like
that's great that they think
there's like all this weight,
yeah,
right, lifted off. And I felt like you kind of had that same thing, is you had this kind of bounce in your step from this new system of not eating, starving yourself to death, which you were excited about.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, our thing that we're teaching I don't think it's that dramatic. It's not as dramatic.
Oh, it can be.
Well, we're not asking them to do something I think it's the understanding of where the levers are and what's important that's dramatic. But I guess it's the same, yeah. Okay, so then you have a coach, you have accountability, same recipe, right?
Yep.
You learned a system, and in that system, your beliefs changed. So you saw it different, and then when you see it different, it's just natural that you're going to then change your behavior.
Right.
And your actions change, right? And I think too is you had some success, you lost some weight early on, and I think one of the most important things from the boot camp is they have to have some early success coming out of boot camp because that gives you confidence.
Right. Yeah, just one or two little wins.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a really good lesson for anything. If you're trying something that you would consider difficult or life-changing, is you got to stack the deck for yourself.
Yeah.
The person you're playing the person you're playing is you in almost everything that you're trying to make better.
Truer words have never been spoken. It's you versus you. Okay, so then you're having some success. People are now noticing, because I've heard people comment about how good you look, and then they ask you what you're doing, and then you tell them, and the whole thing. It does seem to me that because you've been doing this a little while now. This isn't
I'm about 7 weeks in.
Yeah, it seems to kind of be a new way of thinking.
Yes. I would say it's a very sustainable lifestyle.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a diet that you're on for 2 months. Like, you can always do this.
Yeah, because what's interesting about it is you aren't, I don't know, you're not eating that good. Like, you're still eating carbs, and
it's very much like,
it's not like special food being delivered or something.
No, and I think that that's one thing that, another thing that I kind of think about, a parallel between the coach and our coaching in the automotive industry plus the coaching that he's doing for me, is he's looking at the results and then saying, okay, so you missed something in the system, go back and figure out what it is.
Yeah, you can't unlearn it once you kind of know it and it's worked and you've had success. It doesn't really go backwards.
And if you follow the system, it works. It's not rocket science.
Yeah, and then at the end of it, I would say too is it has affected other parts of your life, in a sense that when somebody comes into the coaching group and they feel kind of beat down or whatever it is, and then they start to have success, that is contagious to other areas of their life. So their relationships, they become a better parent. Like we always say, they become a better citizen.
Yes.
Because their self-confidence is higher and they feel like they have a toolbox that will that system of figuring things out applies to any area you want it to.
And I think that that's the punchline, is that there is a world where you can be healthy in all areas.
And also I think that discovering that you've been doing it wrong for so long also opens you up to the idea that you might be wrong in other areas, and you're more open.
Yeah.
It just creates more. Like, don't you feel like because you feel better, you're more open to ideas and open to trying things?
I think so. I would say that's probably something that I think that I might be a little bit different than other people, because I'm never, like, if I've been doing it wrong the whole way, I'm not mad at myself afterwards. I just really, really excited to find that there's a new way. Like, I don't have to be mad about what I did the last 2 years. It's all about what can I do now because I've got new information.
Yeah, that's hard to do. I don't think I'm as good at that as you are. I'm mad.
I'll be mad, but it's really shortly, because what benefit do we get out of that?
Yeah.
It doesn't make you lose more weight. It doesn't make you run the business better.
Right. That's good. First part is having a want, like wanting to change, because without that, none of it matters, right?
Yeah, if you wanted to be really brutally honest about that, it's like admitting you're fat.
Yeah.
That's a tough sentence to say.
Yeah, because we spend a lot of time justifying what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
And then finding a coach, learning a new way of seeing things, then that will lead to new behaviors and actions that get you some wins, that raise your confidence, that then make it stick.
Yeah, and then you transfer into the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. We always can upgrade the system.
That's the recipe to getting your parts and service department in shape. They're very similar. So if you find yourself in a position where you're not happy with the results, you feel alone, and you feel up against it, which we're seeing more and more as the service department becomes the focus in the dealership, that more people are reaching out for help. The sooner the better. The sooner you see it a different way, the sooner you're going to have a new roadmap, a new architecture, the sooner you're going to have those wins, and the sooner you're going to be validated by people noticing that you're affecting the world in a different way. And it's just more fun.
Yeah.
It's more fun.
I think that's really good advice for parts and service managers, is to just remind them that the spotlight's coming whether they're ready for it or not. It's just a little bit easier to be ahead of it.
And the turnover at service manager is
50% or more.
Nuts. Because you can't say that 50% of the managers out there are bad or don't, the industry's let them down. They don't have the roadmap.
Right.
Because once they do, it all gets a lot simpler.
What's funny is in that, going back to that boot camp, is that on average, half of them say they've never had service manager training before.
Yeah.
Which is ironic, because that's also similar to the turnover ratio.
Yeah. No, the industry's let them down.
Completely.
It's an interesting thing that we're kind of the only ones out here doing this the way we're doing it.
Yeah.
I think that one of the things that makes our thing unique is we've been there, so we have empathy for it. Like a typical consultant would make themselves valuable by pointing out what you don't know. We want to get you to where you know as quick as you can,
because when it hurts them, it hurts us.
Well, we are as a friend in a community.
Yeah.
And so it is, it does feel good when you do a boot camp and they're good people. Like, they just have never been told.
Yeah. It's really rare that we meet somebody in boot camp that we're like, oh yeah, that person's great.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen very often. We're fortunate to have a lot of cool people in this industry.
So let us know if we can help you. info@chriscollinsinc.com. Go to chriscollinsinc.com. There's a 1-800 number on there. However you can reach out. We're on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook.
TikTok.
We're on X.
And we're on X also. Yep.
That's
TikTok.
I don't know the TikTok, but
there's some funny stuff on there.
And beyond that, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next time on Service Drive Revolution.
Thanks so much for watching this episode of Service Drive Revolution. We're uploading new stuff every day, so make sure you subscribe and click the bell icon so you don't miss out. If you have a question you'd like us to answer on the show, call 8333-ASK-SDR and we'll answer your question on the show. That's 8333-ASK-SDR. For special deals on our books and training, head over to offers.chriscollinsinc.com. Now that's offers.chriscollinsinc.com. I'm Chris Collins, and I'll see you in the next video.